You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on a Thursday, where we will fully turn that page and start to focus, Matt, on, hey, it's a regular season game in October.
Right.
Okay, there's still half the season to go. A lot of different things at play here, but I think about as big of a game as you can get this time of year. Two storied franchises, Aaron Rodgers storyline, and, you know, a Green Bay team that is trying to keep pace with the Lions and stay atop of their division, a Steelers team trying to stay atop of their division and kind of wash out that bad taste of their mouth from last Thursday in Cincinnati. This one is going to do a massive number in ratings, and it's going to be, I think, a real kind of crossroads. What's the you could almost write the narrative for both teams going into this one if they win or they lose. You know, what everyone's going to say if they win, what everyone's going to say if they lose.
Standalone games always mean more, too, just in the public perception.
The whole country is going to be watching. Yep. This is one of those ones that when the schedule came out, everyone looked at it and circled it and highlighted it, and this is going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And it is going to be a lot of fun, and again, about as big as you can get for a regular season game in October.
Yeah, and then they spruce it up with these jerseys, these throwback jerseys. I saw them for the first time today. I was down at the facility. They're pretty crazy. Every eye in America is going to be on it, even more than most Sunday night games. And they're not the best two teams in the league, but they're about the two best fan bases in the league.
Right.
And they're two pretty darn good teams that are storied and a lot of trophies and so many Hall of Famers. And one of them's now working for this team as opposed to that team. Obviously, the Rodgers storyline is massive. Now, it's an NFC game, so the math doesn't kill the other team that bad.
Doesn't affect your tiebreakers or anything like that.
But Green Bay started the season, first two games, blowing people's doors off. And now they're still good, but they're squeaking by. You know, like, where are they at as a team? Steelers, on the other hand, are coming off an embarrassing loss. At least on one side of the ball was embarrassing. And I bet everyone that was walking around the facility, I had that feeling. I didn't chat with Cam Hayward or TJ Watt. Knows exactly what they put on tape for the world to see, and it's not good enough at all. And I expect a long week, a lot of that to get corrected.
I do too. And that is obviously what we're all waiting for, kind of first and foremost, as it relates to, again, another offense that is going to challenge you. It's not the same type of challenge as Cincinnati. It's a younger quarterback, not a veteran quarterback. You know, It's they don't have this superstar brand names like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but this is still a Packers offense that has a lot of different ways to give it to you.
It does.
Talented young receivers, talented young tight ends, talented running back, up-and-coming quarterback. As you talked about yesterday, one of, I think, the more underrated offensive lines.
Yeah, as a unit
in the National Football League. This is
really good offensive coach, too. Really
one
good
of the
coach.
Yes, he's not mentioned in the same breath as the McVays and the Shanahans, but maybe he should be.
I know he's won a lot of games since he went to Green Bay, and it used to be it's like, oh, he's riding Rodgers' coattails, anyone could do that. And like, he's gone through a lot of different things.
And then Jordan Love came in, and they continued to go to the playoffs and win double-digit games. And,
very bright, very good coach,
and all those different things. So let's kind of start there. It's a big week for the Steelers defense, looking to get right after that performance in Cincinnati against a talented Packers offense.
Yeah.
Matt, some of the Matt stats numbers I want to run past you here. This one pretty glaring as it relates to the Steelers defense. They are surrendering an average of 38.3 yards per drive. That is
one of my favorites. Well, one of my least favorites from a Steelers perspective.
Depending on how you look at it, right?
Telling how the season's going.
That's the worst in the National Football League. 32 out of 32 teams.
How many yards allowed per drive?
They're also on the field for over 7 plays per drive, 7.2 plays per drive on average. That's 31st out of 32 teams. Only the Miami Dolphins are worse. Paint those pictures for us and why those are both terrible signs, terrible indicators.
Yeah, and I put some of that stuff on Twitter, and I forget. Someone smart wrote back and be like, this defense is all splashed and get gashed. I'm like, it's pretty good. Like when they're causing splash, they're
one of the best
game changing.
Yep.
And it just so happens, and this is not an accident, and the Steelers know this, they're the best defense in the league, in my opinion, at creating splash through pass rush, through forced fumbles, batted passes at the line of scrimmage, all those things. And this last week, we didn't see any splash, sacks, turnovers, that type of thing. And the gashing was happening over and over and over. That's not okay. It's not a great way to live. The splash is wonderful, and I think the splash will be there way more often than not. Don't get me wrong. But you can't be on the field for that many yards per drive and that many plays per drive.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I keep going back to time of possession as the what you go to the doctor for. Man, our time of possession is really bad, Doc. What is it? It's getting to the point now where it's pretty clear that it's the defense. I mean, it used to be, it's a group thing. The Steelers don't run the ball very well. Too many 3-and-outs.
Yeah, like after the Patriots game, right? It was easy to point to. The offense went 6 straight drives, either 3-and-out or the Robert Spillane interception.
Yeah.
That's
Great
easy.
example.
Just a couple games into the season, boom, it's right in front of you here on the table. There's what's ailing you. But you're right. I think as this thing has evolved and we've gotten more and more data points, it's
a defense on the field, and it's self-inflicted.
It absolutely, particularly on the back of these last few games, Matt, where the Steelers have been running the football much more effectively.
Right, that's the thing.
That elongates the drives for the offense, keeps your defense on the sideline, keeps that time of possession typically in your favor, and that just hasn't been the case. And so you're right, as you're the doctor and you're kind of, what the symptoms are, but you're trying to diagnose the issue.
Right.
I think it's becoming harder and harder to ignore that it is. Listen, I'm not saying the offense is completely perfect in this regard.
No, of course not.
But
none are, but
that it's an issue that has primarily at the feet of the defense.
Yeah, and most recently it's because they're not stopping the run well enough, and the short passing game. It's a lot of, the Bengal game is so fresh on your mind, but there were a lot of first reads where it was just Flacco sees the first guy open, boom.
2.2 seconds, 2.3 seconds.
Exactly. Off coverage, chase, give him the ball. His average depth of target was really short for a great wide receiver, but it didn't matter. He's still getting 6. He's adding to those yards per drive, eating, the clock's ticking. And this team you're playing isn't a great time of possession team, which surprises me a little because their D is really good. Their run defense is the best in the league, and they run the ball a lot. They're a high percentage run team, but they're also big game hunters. They like to go, and Love always will be. He likes to go down the field. He'll probably take, I know he'll take some shots. But I think it all starts, and I feel like I'm just like regurgitating Tomlin right now, but you got to start with Josh Jacobs. Yeah, that's where it starts. If he is gashing you for, you go in the half and he's got 85 yards and he's averaging 6-7 yards a carry, put 11 in the box. You just can't accept that fate.
You spend a lot of time around the team, similar to myself, in OTAs, mini camp, training camp settings, teaching periods.
Yeah.
Those periods are different than the practices that they're doing throughout the week. You have laid this out a million times. There is so much less time during the week than people think because you're preparing for Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love and how do we stop these guys? And it's not...
super quick to interrupt. I was down there today. Practice was starting. You walk out. This isn't a trade secret or anything. There's somebody that has a Tucker Kraft jersey on. There's someone that has a Jacobs jersey on. When he goes there,
that's
we
your
pay.
Scout team.
Right.
Yep.
We pay attention to those dudes. That doesn't happen in camp or mini camp.
No.
Right.
You get more of the teachable moments in OTAs, mini camp, training camp. And one thing, Matt, I'm sure you've heard it. I've heard it at least a dozen times now in my 8 years around the team. Defensive line coach Carl Dunbar, talking to his guys, something along the lines of, you have to earn the right to rush the passer, and that starts with stopping the run. Yeah. It's great that we have all these guys that can get sacks and get after the quarterback. We know the skill set of Watt and Highsmith and Herbig and Cam and a guy like Keanu Benton who's had a handful of sacks over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But you have to earn the right to get them into 2nd and 8, to get them into 3rd and 7, to get them into predictable passing situations. You have to earn the right to rush the quarterback. And that begins with stopping the run. And that was a huge issue last week. Yeah. And you cannot let that carry over into Sunday night.
So I know a lot of our listeners and a lot of fans were, I mean, weren't in a good mood anyways, folks, after that game. But when Tomlin was asked, and I don't remember exactly verbatim the quotes, but, what's the biggest problem? He's like, stopping the run. And there's a lot of our listeners and fans that were like, don't you see Jamar Chase catching 8,000 balls, Coach? Like, I think he does, guys. I think he's on it. I think his defensive back coaches, defensive coordinators are aware that the best receiver in the league is catching 8,000 balls. But if it wasn't for the Chase Brown stuff, the game, you probably win. You sort of conceded the Chase and Higgins stuff to some degree.
If they slice you
right
up in the
or
air
wrong.
like that, but you only give up 75 yards rushing.
Yeah, if he's averaging what was
2.6 or
whatever he
like
was
that,
averaging
2.7
in every other game, but to that point, if you play the run sounder, you tackle better, and they weren't even like getting blown off the ball. Like in the Jets game, it looked like the first game of the season where everyone was tired and Cam hadn't practiced, and like they're getting pushed backwards. This was
it looked a little bit like that against Seattle too.
Yes, early in the season, that happens across the league. But last week it was there's no one aligned in the B gap, or you just flat out missed a tackle, or you're not rallying to the football with the same energy. And you can say that's a short week, or you could say, well, they've been on the field too much already this year. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure that contributed, but it doesn't make it okay, by any stretch. In this game, you have a 10-week or 10-day break where your opponent doesn't, I mean, it starts with stopping the run, and you're right. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to earn your ability to pin your ears back and go after the quarterback. Now, here's a wrinkle, though, which the Packers are good, by the way. A lot of these Matt Stat stuff are not going to really favor the Steelers. I mean, Green Bay is really good. So not only is Green Bay the best team in the league on third down.
That was the next stat that I had to get to here.
I don't have the numbers, but in third and long, 7 or more, they're not only the best team in the league on third and long, but they're light years better than average. I mean, it's insane. So even if you do keep them, it's we got them in 3rd and 8 2 times in a row. They've been converting like almost 50% of the time, which is nuts.
I want to dig into that more, the specific numbers there and how impressive it is, and how the Steelers better be ready for it and ready to counter that.
But you got them where you want them, right?
I don't want to shortchange it either. So let's go to break here. We'll pick up there on the other side when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, just getting started. We'll continue into Matt's stats. We'll talk to Bob Labriola in this hour. Plenty to get to on a Thursday. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. All right, Matt, it's impressive, as you kind of mentioned there before we went to break. Green Bay Packers converting 49.3% of their third down attempts. That's the best in the National Football League. But get this, they are also converting a league high 48.3, so only 1% less.
Doesn't even matter what the down and distance is.
Out of 100 tries, only one time less on their third and long. That's 7 or more yards.
Right.
Conversions. The league average in those situations, third and 7 or longer, is less than 24%.
Yeah.
They're doing it at over 48%. That's nearly twice as good as everybody else in the National Football League. That's crazy impressive.
That's crazy. And the good news is, I bet when we're at Christmas, they're not at 49%. It's not 1 out of 2 on third.
The Steelers aren't going to be the only team going forward that are looking for ways to stop this and slow this down.
Yeah, and it's almost unsustainable. I mean, like, I doubt any team in history on third and long is like at 50%. I mean, that sounds nuts to me. But still, they are doing it, and we're almost at Halloween. I mean, this isn't one game against a terrible defense. I don't have a great reason why. Now, I think part of it's because Love's aggressive and he's pushes the ball down the field.
Like you said, big game hunter.
Big game hunter. He has some improv skills. But if you notice his numbers, and I didn't put it in there because I don't like to quote pressures because I don't 100% trust him. But when he's in a clean pocket, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Accuracy, whatever advanced numbers you want, or even the basic numbers. But under pressure, everyone's worse. I mean, every quarterback under pressure compared to a clean pocket is going to be worse. I mean, There's been a weird year or two where like Mahomes is actually better, but that's freaky. But his gap is wider than most. It's much wider than most. As is Aaron Rodgers, by the way. But Rodgers is the least pressured quarterback in the league. People be like, oh, that's crazy. Part of it's because the ball comes out so fast.
Sure.
And they recognize it so well. But Steeler protection hasn't been as bad as people think.
No, it's been much improved, particularly since Dublin.
Yeah, and even this past game, the ball did not come out at a record speed.
Right.
So he's the least pressured quarterback in the league. And
Roger Jones been the only one who's been getting hands on him lately.
That's a good point. So you would think, man, you're going to get more pressure on these third and longs, and I assume teams are. I mean, I could do some filtering of whatever and figure it out, and he hasn't been as good under pressure, but apparently it hasn't mattered.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah,
and it's a scary point heading into this game where you just struggled to get pressure on a quarterback. Big part of that was obviously how quick Joe Flacco was getting rid of the thing, but that cannot continue for this Steelers defense on Sunday night. Absolutely,
or you're never going to get off the field.
You will never get off the field.
I'm saying you have two good plays, and then you get to the 3rd and 8, and you're like, okay, we're in good shape. We're going to bring the house, and boom,
11-yard completion.
Right?
Yeah, totally. And that is, I think, one of the things. If you're kind of writing down notes of key things to watch for the Steelers defense, those 3rd down conversion rates, particularly 3rd and long, sounds like it's towards the top of the list. Matt, this scares me as well, too.
I want to say one thing, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when I look at a box score for the first time or whatever, and I get to 3rd downs, I'm interested in the conversion rate, sure. But I'm as interested or more interested in the denominator. How many times did you make them snap the ball on 3rd down? Offense coordinators don't want to snap the ball on 3rd down. I mean, they just don't. It's a little less true now because so many people go for it on 4th. It used to be that we have 3 downs to get a 1st down. Now teams, like the Eagles will call a run on 3rd and 7 because they know they're going for it on 4th. So, but still, making teams snap the ball over and over on 3rd down is good defense. But not against these guys.
But not against.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If you could force a team into 12, 13, 14, 15 3rd downs, great.
You good chance you won the game.
Yes. But against these guys, it might not be as a direct correlation as you expect. Here's a big part of that too, Matt. Kind of final stat I wanted to run past you before we get to our buddy Bob Labriola in just a few minutes. We spend a lot of time talking about the kind of holy trinity of indicators to who wins a game.
Yeah.
Turnover differential, sack differential, explosive play differential. That is the holy trinity of whoever has the most success in those departments puts themselves in it's playing poker odds or blackjack odds. It doesn't necessarily mean you win every time, but you've got a much likely.
But you don't hit on 20.
Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. The Packers offense, 1st in the league in explosive play rate.
Again, they push the ball down the field, and even though Jacobs doesn't have a lot of yards per carry,
that's the crazy part about it.
He still can rip off and runs and hurt you.
Yes. The Steelers defense ranks 30th in explosive play rate surrendered. That to me, at least Cincinnati had to kind of paper cut you to death at times down the field.
Absolutely. They didn't kill you with explosives. Right.
You absolutely cannot allow this to be 3-play drives, 4-play drives, 6-play drives against the Packers, and they've done a very good job of that so far this season.
I mean, none of this sounds good because, boy, they have a ton of explosives. You allow a ton of explosives. We started the show with, man, you allow a lot of plays per drive. You allow a lot of yardage per drive. Well, if you're picking your poison, neither's good.
No.
You just got to play better.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, well, how do you fix it, Matt? Well, you get off your blocks, you tackle better, you make big plays. You
sound like Dave Wannstedt.
Right.
Sound like Dave Wannstedt right there when he was. Do you remember that halftime where he said we got to run fast? He was asked at a halftime interview, "What do you got to do?" He said, "We got to run faster."
Good one.
you got to play
sometimes
better.
you just got to be better,
sometimes you got to run faster. You got to tackle better. We just got to be better. What do you have to do? We have to run. We have to run faster out here. Is what we have to do.
Football stuff. You have to do better than you were before.
And that to me,
because this defense can. It's not like, boy, there's no good players,
here's the one thing too. if you're getting after Jordan Love and you're getting 4 or 5 sacks and you're winning that sack margin by +3, +4.
Now we're talking.
If you're winning the turnover margin by +2.
Stop you real quick because this is nuts about the Packers. There's no turnovers in Packer games. Packers have turned the ball over 3 times all year and have forced 3 turnovers all year. It's like they make a deal with the opponent. Like
we won't turn it over if you don't turn it over.
We're just not either one of us turning it over today. I'm like, okay. Well, I ain't going to cut it in this game. If there's no turnovers, that's not going to be good for the Steelers.
Because you're absolutely right. Because where I was going with that was, hey, if they outclass you in the explosive play department, but you're +2 in the turnover margin, you're +3 or 4 in the sack margin, you can make up for that.
You can be in good, decent shape. Right, yeah.
But if you're...
Because the Steeler offense is actually pretty explosive, too, which is rare to say over the years.
Exactly. And it feels like it's gotten, doesn't feel like the numbers back it up, it's gotten more explosive week by week as well, too.
Both through the air and on the ground.
So you can make up for giving up some explosive plays if you're not too far behind with your own offense and you're leading in the sack department, you're leading in the turnover department. But if turnovers and sacks are a stalemate, or God forbid you lose in that department once again, that's where you're really asking for trouble.
That's the thing is, like, when you talk about strategy, you know Love's going to be anxious to push the ball down the field. They trust their protection. They got good downfield weapons. So do you play it the opposite of how you did the Bengals, because frankly that didn't work, and say, okay, we might play more single high or blitz more or trust our secondary? And I'm sure people are like, why would you trust your secondary after what happened on Thursday? Well, you got to trust something.
Sink or swim, right?
Right. And we want Love to pat the ball for 2.9, and we know he's going to drive it down the field, and Golden might get behind you twice, but you also might hit him 8 times, you know, and Cam tips one. You know what I mean?
Get your hands on a ball at the line of scrimmage, something they've done very well this season. And instead of fluttering into T. Higgins' hands, this time it flutters into Cole Holcomb's arms.
Yeah. Those explosive number stuff might get worse. You know, they might be best in the league by a wider margin. You might be last in the league when it's all said and done. But man,
if it gets you a couple more sacks and maybe an extra turnover,
but if you're stopping,
a deal you'll make with the devil.
If you're stopping the run and you're not getting paper cut to death, I think I'd rather live that way right now.
I think I would
roll
too,
the dice,
especially when you consider, again, like
at least it's aggressive.
The strengths of this Steelers defense and what they do well. And when they are at their best,
unleash the hounds.
They've surrendered a lot of yards at times.
Oh, yeah.
But they're getting sacks, they're getting turnovers, that makes up for it.
And I know people were like, this defense is the most expensive in the league. They shouldn't have that kind of yardage allowed. Agreed. Don't get me wrong. But even like Belichick, his great defenses, they allowed, yardage doesn't equal points. You lose the game by having less points in your opponent.
Then they'd slam the door shut yards. When you get into the red zone.
Right. Or I make a big play, or I set you up for this blitz package, or okay, you not lull them to sleep and allow them to run. But you know what I'm saying? Like you don't lose the game or lose your job because of yardage. You know what I mean? The job is to win the game and have more points. It's not always yards. 100 yards doesn't turn into 5 points.
They give up a ton of yards against the Patriots. They surrendered 14 points.
Okay. Right.
Fine. You forced turnovers. You did the bend but don't break thing in the red zone. Key moments, weighty downs, possession downs was well tilted in your favor. Yeah. That's where this defense is at their best. And it might drive people crazy, but
and I get that.
But that's the truth. It's
and the problem though is that your time of possession starts to be a problem. Sure. And then one more injury pops up because you were on the field 5 minutes longer, and then 2 more injuries pop up, and then you can't get off the field, and then you're not getting splashed, and then it's week 12 and you're shot. You know, there is an attrition aspect to that too. Absolutely.
It's all a fun part of the ecosystem.
Yeah. There's no perfect way of doing it.
That we love dorking out, nerding about here. Say that 5 times fast. Nerding out about here on the drive just about every single day. One of our favorite guests here on the program. We missed him last week, of course, because he's a Thursday guest, and we did not have a Thursday show due to that game in Cincinnati. It's the great Bob Labriola, Steelers historian. We will catch up with Labs when we return on the other side, get all his thoughts ahead of Sunday Night Football against the Packers. We'll do that and more when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on the drive here on a Thursday, and to the phone lines we go. And gentlemen, I got a tweet from a guy named Joe last week who said, "Is there any chance that we can continue one of Dale's favorite traditions?" And that was when introducing Bob Labriola. You got to say the Dean of Doom, the Lord of living in his fears. Thanks for the consideration and keep up the great work, guys. I would love to honor our brother Dale whenever we have Labs on. So he is the Dean of Doom. He is the Lord of living in his fears, the great Bob Labriola, Steelers historian. Labs, thank you for taking the time, as always. And as the Steelers historian, I got to ask you, the kind of sports dork in me, Labs, every game gets you fired up. That's why we love football. There's only 17, and they're all important. But when you have two cornerstone franchises, as Aaron Rodgers would say, two of the best fan bases, two of the most, I think, respected organizations, not just in football, but in all of American sports, like the Steelers and the Packers. This one get your juices going a little bit extra?
Well, I'll tell you what. All of those things you said are true about the two franchises. And, what makes it special in my mind, though, is where both teams are right now, where both teams might have the promise to go, and what this game means to each of these teams. So, it's all of those things. Sunday night, except for it keeping me way up beyond my bedtime, an old man like I am. It's going to be fun. A home game. I think it'll be very well attended. The weather is supposed to be, nice. Certainly not a factor in keeping anyone away. And I saw some, I don't know, online somewhere, and some social media thing was pointing out that the resale on the tickets is almost Super Bowl numbers.
Wow. I guess I'm not that shocked, but wow.
Well, yeah, it's a chance. Aaron Rodgers may say, it's not a revenge game. But, I don't think the ticket buying public looks at it that way. I think they see, whether it's true or not, but I think it adds juice to the whole thing. All of, like what Wes was saying, plus what it means to the teams in terms of this season. And also, the Rodgers-Packers thing, it's has a lot of the elements that, makes for a pretty juicy matchup. So, yeah, it should be fun on Sunday night.
I'm certainly excited about the matchup like everybody else. I want to look forward, but I think we got to look backwards first. Labs, we've seen a lot of Steeler games in history, or the last 5 years in particular, where the defense carries the action and the offense just hobbles along, and such a one-sided performance. But it's so rare to see it the other way.
Yeah, I've said this on every hit that I've done this week, so I'll give it to you guys too. As somebody once told me, you don't need new information; you just need a different audience.
I've mastered that myself.
used to be, as recently as last year. You're crying for 20 points from the offense to hope you have a chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're scoring 31 and you're losing. So that's quite the flip there. It's something different. But if you want to, I know you give me the Dean of Doom thing, but I don't know. Maybe we just got to start looking at this Steelers team different. We were so, I think, initiated or whatever, used to or taught that, God, you got to hope for 24 points.
Mm-hmm.
God, on Sunday, you stop by the Basilica and light a candle. Please let the Steelers score a touchdown in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And now that's not even worth talking about. It just happens.
13 passing
regularly.
Touchdowns in a season.
Right, yeah.
Crazy stuff like that, yeah.
Right, 4 touchdown passes in a game. I remember you'd go hoping for 12 from your starting quarterback over 17 weeks, 17 games.
Right.
So, it's a little bit different, but, you can win in the NFL that way. But you can't win in the NFL, I don't care how good your offense is, if you can't stop the run any better than that.
Yeah.
And you can't stop that team's run any better than that, because it's not like, that was the, Derrick Henry and the Ravens or anything. I mean,
I'll
Chase
reuse some of
Brown.
Mike Pursuita's room. Or some of his stuff he's been saying this week was, you made Chase Brown look like Jim Brown.
Yeah, the Bengals came, and here's another pursuit. The Bengals came in with the number 32 ranked rushing offense in the NFL. You know why it wasn't 33rd? Because there's only 32 teams. I mean, they were last.
Miserable, yeah.
Chase Brown, 2.7 yards a carry coming into that Thursday night game. I don't know what that was about. I'm not savvy enough to tell you if it was just technique breakdowns or guys not trying to do too much or, scheme problems. I don't know what it was. But you cannot allow that to happen, because your defense is built upon, this is the way I see it anyway, your defense is built upon the principles of pressure on the quarterback to either create plays like sacks or force mistakes by the offense that create takeaways. But if you're not stopping the run, you can't get any pressure, because the third downs, the situations are such that getting the ball out quick is easy. And Flacco is good at that. You're not going to get to him. I just don't think you have enough time to get to him on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4, really 3rd and less than 5. So now you can't get to him. So you think you're going to run and chase with those guys? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's training camp drills. That's 7-on-7 at training camp. No pressure on the passer. Okay, try and cover T. Higgins all over the field. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched that at St. Vincent College. It doesn't work. They're just too good. That's the way the game is. So, got to stop the run, and then keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. And I think that this season could turn around. I don't. Looking ahead, the Packers are. I think they were grossly overrated after they won their opener, and everybody was putting them in the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost to the Browns, right?
Tied them, I think. Right?
No,
Yeah.
they tied they tied the Cowboys.
Oh,
They
lost
to the Browns,
Yeah.
tied to the Cowboys.
No, you're right.
There you go. Okay. So, the Packers are a good team. They deserve your respect, but they're not unbeatable. They're not the 62 Packers. To give you a little history, the Colts really might be the best team on the Steelers' immediate future schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody afraid of the Chargers anymore?
I agree with you.
So
Yeah.
you got to play well. Certainly, you got to play well. But those teams you can win those games. And so, then you start to get into Thanksgiving with numbers in terms of your wins and losses that are keeping you very relevant in terms of your placing in the pecking order in the conference. And then you hope that, you're really starting to hone some of the phases of your game and getting better.
And I think we're definitely seeing that on offense in the run game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. So, there's a lot, there's enough positives there. I mean, but it just looked so bad allowing the Bengals to run the ball like that. Because I thought, Flacco can be a problem. He's that kind of guy. He has a nice arm. He's veteran enough that he can be on time and accurate, and he's got some eligibles. Those two guys that's the best tandem in the NFL, if you ask me. Higgins and Chase.
Oh yeah.
And you agree, Matt?
Yeah, I do. And we just did a wide receiver rank yesterday. We had Chase number 1.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're not able to cut the head off the snake, and that being the quarterback in the Bengals pass offense, good luck. Good luck. I challenge any team secondary coverage go ahead, deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a losing proposition the majority of the time.
That's a big thing I said the day after the game, Labs, was like, was their pass defense good enough? Of course not. Were they overmatched against Chase and Higgins? Yes. Did Flacco carve them up? Yes. But sometimes Michael Jordan scores 50, and that's just the way it is. The sin to me was the run defense.
Yeah, and I remember, just reminiscing with Dick Hoke one time, long-time Steelers assistant coach, and we were just talking about, this was at training camp, shooting the breeze and talking about coverage and stuff like that. And he said, in the 70s, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, the quarterback was on his back.
Yeah.
There were blown coverages all over the place. You never saw them. I mean, they didn't matter. It was something that on the film, Chuck would point out and complain about, yell about, but it didn't. It had no significance, had no impact, because the quarterback was on the ground or running for his life. So you got to be able to do that, and in my opinion, you got to be able to stop the run so that you can create the situations where you have an opportunity to do that.
I think that's very well said by Bob Labriola, our guest here on The Drive. Labs, we spent some time, Matt and I, on Friday in the immediate aftermath of that game in Cincinnati, and then earlier this week too, kind of doing the glass half full, glass half empty thing. And glass half empty more so with the defense. But the other side of that is, as you kind of alluded to, I think you have to be encouraged by all elements of this offense. Certainly the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, as I think we've all discussed throughout the season.
I think the glass was 49% full.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like Labs, I use the analogy of like a presidential election. All you gotta do is win 51% and you get the nana boo boo, you're a loser, to 49%, right? Like it was kind of the same thing, whereas if the Steelers, if the defense makes a play after that Pat Freiermuth touchdown, we're all talking about the defense, but we're saying, how about that offense? I mean, they can score 33 points. They can get you out of a jam.
Maybe if Turner doesn't rip it away from Metcalf, and that's enough. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely right. And Labs, I think we all expected that from Aaron Rodgers, and we've seen that from Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know how you can't be encouraged. It feels like real progress over the last few games, in particular from the run game, from the offensive line. And, I mean, just that performance, we would have been singing Jaylen Warren's praises like crazy over the last couple of days if the Steelers find a way to win that game.
Yeah, and, a lot of times the way I look at it is if you really want to kind of try and gauge a unit, how it's doing, I always go to the weakest link and see how that unit is doing. And you mentioned the offensive line. And I would say that was the weakest link in terms of what you were hoping would continue to develop and learn to play, as a unit. There's a lot of certainly football is the ultimate team sport, but there's a lot of close combat teamwork that goes on within an offensive line. Double team blocks, twists, passing off this and that, or holding the block so that your buddy next to you can get to it, and then you go out to the next level to get the next block, to make the running game more effective. Those kinds of things. And I think we're seeing a lot of progress from the offensive line in a lot of areas. I think the two young tackles are getting better.
Yeah,
I really, and those guys, you invested number one picks. 2 of your previous 3 number one picks, first-round picks, were on those guys. I mean, on the day they put the ball on the tee for the opener against the Jets, I think that there was, some legitimate concern about those 2 guys playing up to their draft status this season, and I think they're getting there if they're not there already. So that to me is a big plus. And, hopefully that continues because, to use a Mike Tomlinism, there's more meat on that bone. Hopefully that continues to happen. Maybe the running game, maybe the Steelers' running game goes into a game against a particular opponent and does to that opponent what the Bengals' running game did to the Steelers last Thursday night. And that would be nice because then, you think that Joe Flacco carved up the other team. Aaron Rodgers, he won't even use Novocaine. He won't use a sedative. So, there's a lot to like, I think, about, I won't say a lot of things, but certainly some things. And, I don't want to give up my living in my fears title either. The Steelers can certainly lose any of these next, 4 or 5 games, but they can also win them all too. So, it's keeping it interesting. It is. And, I don't know. It's fun to watch. I wish more people had fun watching it than watched it to decide what they wanted to complain about.
Yeah, it's an amazing point and makes me crazy too. But I'm confident that the defense is better than we saw against the Bengals, though. I mean, and that's not saying much. That was as bad a performance as any defense in the league's going to play. But I still think this has a lot of possibilities to be an above-average defense at the minimum. And as proud as they are and as accomplished as a lot of those players are, I would be shocked if this week is not a lot cleaner.
Yeah, and especially with, I think, some of the fundamentals because, I think it's not the whole key to run defense, but a big part of run defense is, just being in the right place at the right time, as Dick LeBeau always used to say, see what you need to see and be where you need to be. I mean, a lot of it is only that because, the Bengals offensive line was, is not the 7 blocks of granite. I mean, there was no Anthony Munoz in that group either. So when you're letting a team like that run the ball like that with that caliber of a front, again, that's, you said pride. The flip of that pride is embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I would say that there should be some people on that defense, players, seasoned, proven NFL pros, guys who could be, maybe are on track for a gold jacket. I mean, look at that. I can't even imagine what that video looked like to professionals who knew what they were watching.
Yeah,
because it was frightening.
Is the right word. Yeah,
it was frightening to me just watching it on TV. A prisoner of Amazon Prime's camera angles. No, seriously. I mean, you don't get to see a lot of what you see is fairly focused. I think. You don't get a wide view of things, which I think is a way that football needs to be watched and judged, maybe critiqued or understood. So really what's going on, because there's 22 guys out there every snap of the ball.
Can't see the coverages. It's hard to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last thing. You mentioned that DJ Turner interception. Maybe if DK Metcalf had held on to that, or maybe if the officials had called it the way they called that James Pierre interception.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay?
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Give it to me the same way 2 times, and then I'll believe in NFL officials not being completely inconsistent and arbitrary. But how is one of those? And again, there are enough nits to pick within the rule book and the way it's written and the super slow motion and the, I don't know, sometimes how that the images that creates that I don't necessarily believe are the way it happens. I've always believed that replay should be watched in real time. Then tell me, was he over the line to gain? Was it a touchdown? Did he have control of the ball? Because you can slow it down with technology today, one frame. And did the ball move in the receiver's hands? Well, I'll tell you what, man. You could pretty much say yes to that to every catch, every ball ever thrown ever.
Right, exactly.
Or you can also say, so that's the arbitrary nature of it, okay? So when is
it's
it
like
holding?
saying, did the baseball move in the guy's glove? Who cares? Was it the glove? Right.
Right. Does Zach Frazier hold on Jalen Warren's touchdown run? Okay, I think that happens every play. Stuff like that.
Yep.
When do you call it and when do you don't? That's a heck of a thing to take a touchdown off the board, because that was a kind of a backside hold, wasn't it?
Yes.
He was through that. That had no impact on that play. I didn't think. I'm watching it from black and gold colored goggles though, but things like that. I live in my fears with that kind of stuff too. Rant's over, fellas. I think I'm done.
No, we love it. Brother. That's a perfect mic drop to get you up out of here, Labs. He is the Dean of Doom. He is the Lord of living in his fears, and he's a regular here on The Drive. Labs, thank you so much for your time as always, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Okay, fellas, take care.
There he goes. Great stuff from Bob Labriola, as always.
Miss Labs. It's been a week or two.
It has. It was absolutely good to get him back in here. Little curmudgeon-y, little optimistic, throwing some darts at the referees. That's exactly what we like from Bob. That's the Bob Labriola experience.
He's a little more cheerful than I expected, though, and hopeful and all that after how that last game went.
Well, that's because he was just excited to talk to us after a couple weeks off. 1 hour in the books. Another hour to go. We have got, Matt, across the timeline, the latest Thursday injury report from both the Steelers and the Packers. Good. We will get into that in hour number 2 when we return on the other side. Plenty more to come here on The Drive. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson at Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here as the afternoon rolls into the evening. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. Of course, it is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, we have our combined practice reports here on a Thursday for both teams. We will start with the Steelers before we get into some Packers injury news and updates. Matt, there's good news and there's bad news with the Steelers injury report. Which would you like first?
Give me the Calvin Austin news. I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's the good news.
Oh, good. Okay.
After not having practiced for a couple weeks, he has been a full practice participant all week. Wednesday and Thursday, full participation for Calvin Austin III.
I think that's really big for this game specifically, too, because Green Bay's a hard team. We haven't dug into them a lot, but we have mentioned it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're a hard team to find things like, oh, this stinks. The Bengals, there was a lot of things to stink. This
the Bengals are a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like, boy, their linebackers
Packers are
bad.
like a nice plateau.
They're pretty solid, and the organization's going to be different. And this isn't a bash Bengals segment, but it's kind of a Packers are good segment. But I would say corners, the position I'd be least confident about. Like if I had to bet who the Packers' first-round pick's going to be, well, they don't have one because of Parsons. It'd be a corner. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, therefore, I want my best 2 wide receivers, not just pass catchers, my best 2 wide receivers available.
Makes a ton of sense, and it looks like Calvin Austin is trending in that direction after being a full participant, no limitations so far this week in practice. You want the bad news now?
Yeah, just give me all the news.
Zach Frazier was limited in practice yesterday with a calf injury. He did not practice today with that calf injury.
Okay.
It's
only Thursday.
It's only Thursday, but that sounds like trending in the wrong direction here at a less than ideal time.
Something like a calf seems like such. I mean, I'm totally guessing and making this up as we go along, but that smells like a game time decision.
It certainly does. We'll be waiting to see what his status is tomorrow. But you want to see guys.
Or he gives it a try and then the first series he's out, or
You want to see guys going from limited to full, not limited to did not practice.
Right. Backwards in terms of status is always a bad sign.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Resting vet days for a couple guys. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, DK Metcalf. Nothing crazy there.
It's very usual. Even after the long week, who cares? Right.
Good news with Calvin Austin. Sounds like Scotty Miller picked up an injury in practice after having no designation on Wednesday. He was limited today with a finger issue.
Okay.
So something to keep an eye on there for Scotty Miller. If you've got Calvin Austin back, what we saw from Roman Wilson, that's not an end-of-the-world type scenario.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, especially if Austin's back. You're still upgrading it wide out.
Obviously still you would like to have all hands on deck, but that one to keep an eye on.
This is going to make me sound bad at my job, and it is, but the returner dude that's been a good returner.
Johnson?
Yeah. I was going to call him Washington. It's not Washington.
It is Johnson, right?
Yeah. I don't think maybe both of us were wrong. Anyway.
Kyron?
That's bad, but
we are being bad at our job.
I know we're both bad at our job, but anyway, he's been an impressive returner. I wonder if he gets demoted though with Austin coming back, just because if all he's going to do is return for
Keyshawn Williams.
Keyshawn Williams, okay, yeah.
Not Johnson.
And he's kind of exciting, but he only played one offensive snap last week. So if Austin comes back and you're like, you're the punt returner. And even if Miller's out, I don't know if he gets a helmet or not. I'm just kind of throwing out game day decisions.
It's a
something to keep an eye on.
A good note to bring up here as
I
well
might
too.
prefer him to Austin as a returner. Like
he's given them more juice in that department than we'd seen all season.
Yeah,
not a particularly high bar to clear, but he cleared it.
I'm actually thinking the other way now. Like if Miller doesn't go, they're like, we'll give him a helmet, and Calvin, you're not returning today. Just
there you go.
Go catch passes.
I don't think that'd be the worst case
scenario. That wouldn't be so terrible either.
And then the two guys that are, in their 21-day window to return from injured reserve, of course, Malik Harrison and Will Howard, they have both been full participants all week as well.
Okay. So you can just fire them up when ready if needed. I wonder about Harrison. Does Killebrew's injury help his cause to get a hat? Because he's not going to crack the inside linebacker situation. I mean, it seems like, I know their results aren't great, but Wilson and Holcomb are basically splitting. I don't think there's room for another.
No, I think you're right on that. But Malik Harrison is a guy who has plenty of special teams acumen. And so that's another good point by you, good call by you. In the absence of Killebrew, perhaps that's the opportunity, the role for him to slide in. Taking a look at the Packers now. Josh Jacobs has been limited Wednesday and Thursday with a calf injury.
He was questionable a week ago and went.
Yes,
so I would imagine he still will.
I was going to say I think we could see something similar, but certainly worth noting. As is Xavier McKinney, guy we talked about a little bit yesterday.
Really good player.
He's been limited all week as well, listed as an ankle and a knee injury for him. So both of those key contributors for the Packers have been limited so far this week.
Okay.
As has Matt, Zach Tom, the talented tackle that we discussed yesterday.
He's a really good player, yeah.
He's been limited all week as well, too, with a back injury.
Okay. I want to – I was just pulling up a stat here, Matt's stat, because this really applies to McKinney, who's, again, a really good player. He's one of the highest-paid safeties in the league. Kind of a do-it-all guy, but more of a strong. A ton of takeaways last year. It's his second year in Green Bay. And I'm not blaming him for this necessarily, but I do think it hurts their cause in this regard. Is the Packers defense is 32nd in throws in the intermediate area of the field. Now that's not between the numbers necessarily. The intermediate is 10 to 20 yards.
20 yards.
10 to 20 yards. So that's out route. It's a 12-yard out. Which reflects on their corners, but also linebacker safety. I mean, that's where they roam. We know that. They're 32nd. That's one of the one spots you can kind of look at the Packers D and be like, that's not so good. I mean, it's last.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, this will shock people because everyone thinks the Steelers are dink and dunk or bombs, like Russell Wilson. Steelers are 7th best in attacking that area.
Interesting.
So you might make some hay there. Yeah.
That is. I'm glad you
if
brought
McKinney's
that
out
to
of the mix
forefront.
too, he's one of the best guys in that area.
Maybe there's some matchups the Steelers can exploit there. Maybe that's something we'll dig a little bit more into tomorrow when we do our matchup segment, a little 5-Star Friday.
I mean, they obviously feature the tight ends a lot, and that's where tight ends roam.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Hey, and Steelers just got some good production from that group.
Absolutely.
This past week, or I guess this past Thursday. Finally, Matt, last one of note here for the Packers that I wanted to run by you. Lucas Van Ness as well.
Didn't play last week.
Didn't play last week and has not practiced at all this week.
Interesting player because you would think he was a first-round pick. What I should have said this earlier in the week because I think it's interesting, is if you go to drafthistory.com and look at every Packer first-round pick, besides Jordan Love, which was, 5 years ago, something like that, and this past year, Golden, the receiver, like 13 out of 15 first-round picks have been on defense.
Yes.
I mean, like, it's
They had that
massive.
stretch during Aaron Rodgers' tenure where
Right.
they went a decade without spending a first-round pick on an offensive player.
Right. I mean, everyone be like, the streak is pretty well known of they went forever until this year without taking a first-round wideout.
And then when they broke the streak with Aaron Rodgers, it was for Jordan Love, I think, right? Another
he was the only
quarterback.
offensive player, and they took a quarterback who's going to sit behind the MVP. So obviously they have a lot invested. Everyone talks about the Steelers' investment on defense. That's money, and picks too. But this team has a ton of first-round capital on defense. Not all of them are still there. Kenny Clark got traded. They traded for Parsons, who happens to be a first-round pick too. Blah blah blah. But they believe in defensive early picks. And I think some people looked at Van Ness and thought, if he was living up to it, they wouldn't have traded for Parsons. We know Gary's good. And there's some truth to that. I don't think he's a great player. He was like the 12th pick in the draft, something like that, I'm guessing, right in that neighborhood. But he's an interesting player. He's a lot different because he's not an edge bender. Like they would call him, if he was a Steeler, they'd call him a 3-4 outside linebacker. But he's really a rocked-up, power, 270-pound, run-through-you, bull in the china shop, Karloftis type dude. He's not the dip and rip, Parsons, Watt type of guy at all. So he does bump inside on passing downs with Gary, kind of a NASCAR package, and he's been decent. So, I mean, he was out of the mix last week.
Something to keep an eye on, Matthew.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up,
I
too.
doubt he plays the more I think about it because I don't think he was even, questionable last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, if you didn't play the previous week and you haven't practiced at all, not even limited this
right,
week.
he's done nothing yet.
Yeah,
right,
that's usually
that's a tough one.
a very not so good sign. Matt, before we break here, and it's kind of I meant to do this earlier when we did Matt's stats, but we had kind of a jumbled first hour of the program. The differential chart that you've been keeping track of.
Oh, yeah.
That we've brought up a couple times on the show so far this year. So remember,
Took a hit this week.
The three things that we talk about: turnover differential, sack differential, explosive play differential.
Yep.
There are some glaring trends, if you will, or indicators, maybe is the term that I'm looking for.
And you just look at the spreadsheet, there's something to stand out.
Here's the first thing that stands out to me. The Steelers are 4-2 this season.
Mm-hmm.
In the games that they have won the turnover differential, they're 4-0.
Yes.
In the games that they have stalemated or lost the turnover differential, they're 0-2.
Right.
I mean,
this goes back till the dawn of Tomlin. I mean, it does for all teams, but it's the Steelers more than anybody. You lose turnover differential, you lose. You win, all right.
The good news is the Steelers, since losing the sack differential the first 2 weeks of the season,
pretty badly from what I remember,
-4 overall in the first 2 weeks of the season, they have continued to win in that department for 4 straight games. +2 in that department against Cincinnati. Now +13 on the sack differential on the season. That's good. That's moving in the right direction.
So you're +17 in your last 4.
Yes, correct. Which is
it's humming. Yeah.
So you're +13 in the sack differential. You're +5 in the turnover differential. Good.
Good. The other one's terrible.
Explosive play differential, -16 on the year.
Brutal.
And Matt, the only game the Steelers have played 6 games now. We're starting to get enough of a sample size, starting to get data points. The only game that you've won the explosive play differential was that home win against Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise anybody. -3 in that department against Cincinnati.
Again, and you're playing the most explosive offense in the league.
And you're playing the team that
Number
accelerates in this regard
the
most. I'll be very interested to see what that number looks like. You were +1 actually in the explosive run differential against Cincinnati.
They're definitely creating more explosive runs.
Yes.
But
you were -4 in the explosive pass differential, which led to -3 on the night. So,
which is a 20-yarder or more.
Against Cincinnati, you were -2 in turnover differential, -3 in explosive play differential, +2 in sack differential. If one of those, the explosive plays or turnovers, is 0 or closer to 0, you probably win that game.
You probably do. Again, we've been talking about it's such a glass half full, half empty game. and I've joked all week, well, it was 49% full. One more of those might make it 51 because they're that important.
Absolutely.
Right. You know,
absolutely.
One less explosive allowed, one more created. The Metcalf play's an easy one to
World of a difference.
Yeah.
World of a difference.
Because frankly, the Rodgers first interception that got away from him,
it was like a punt.
But it was an arm punt in reality. And I count them the same, but all in all, it really wasn't as hurtful as the Metcalf one.
I completely agree with you on that front. So I know that was kind of a random turn there, but I wanted to make sure
to catch up with that
to bring that up on the show today. Meant to do it when we were talking Matt's stats, but still got it in here during our injury report portion of the program. Matt, a couple more things to get to before we get out of here. We got some tweets lined up that we have to get to. We also, you and I wanted to have a, kind of on the backs of our power rankings that we did earlier this week, a lot of discussion about teams that could already be looking towards the NFL draft.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busier, you said this, I think, a week ago, should be a busier NFL trade deadline because of how many teams are already clearly out of it.
And there's still a lot in it.
And a lot.
There's not like teams like running away. There's still a lot of teams alive, but there's clear sellers.
Yes, there are. And so with that, I think there's starting to emerge a clear sellers list, or maybe a buyer's list of players that they should be interested in. You get what I'm saying.
Dudes that could be on the move.
Guys that could be on the move.
And so much of this, folks, has to do with contract.
Totally.
A.J. Brown's getting traded.
Trey Hendrickson's a perfect example.
A.J. Brown's getting traded a week ago. It's like, you know what cap hit would have been for the Eagles?
The dead cap money to trade
yeah.
A.J. Brown would have been insane.
Yes.
Just like the contract situation for Trey Hendrickson plays into this. If you think you're going to lose the guy and you're not going anywhere, you might as well get something of return value. Let's talk about some of the names that could be available ahead of the trade deadline, which is now, I think, just 12 days away. I
think it's like November 3rd. I think it's always on a Tuesday.
It's the Tuesday of, not this coming Tuesday, but the following one.
So that'd
be
10
about,
days away.
about 12 days away.
You're right. You're right. Math.
So, it's not either of our strong points, the math conversation, but I do think I got that one. Let's talk about some of those names from a Steeler perspective and just from a league-wide perspective when we return on the other side. Maybe that'll kind of be our little around the league segment of the day. We'll do that when we come back. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt, we are, as it took us a roundabout way of doing the math there, about 12 days away. I say about 12 days away to still give myself some wiggle room. 12 days away from the NFL trade deadline. A lot of big names available. I think, and you brought this up to me. I can't remember if it was the combine or training camp or OTAs. Seems like you could tell, like, the video game generation, the Madden generation is getting...
That's my old man way of looking at it.
I think it's a great... I think it's
true.
It's certainly part of the conversation.
Right.
It's never just one thing in these types of conversations or debates, but the NFL, year by year, it feels like the trade deadline has picked up and gotten a little bit busier.
It used to be like one trade would happen.
Yes.
Right back in the day.
Yes, and it would be...
You can't ever acclimate to a new playbook.
It'd be for like a second string middle linebacker. I mean, now we see big names moved. We see a lot of different position groups. And I think you, again, brought this up last week of how this could be even more so a busy deadline because of how many teams are clearly out of it already and look into the future and all those different things. So with that, couple names.
Real quick before we do, I mean, I'm sure some people missed that conversation, but my theory is, to some degree, today's GMs, unlike the GMs Mr. Donahoe,
Kevin Colbert,
right? The guys that when I was young were running teams. These GMs grew up playing Madden, playing fantasy, internet. I mean, I didn't grow up with the internet.
So did the head coaches too.
Right. Like we don't have to just go with our 53.
I think every sport has gotten less and less static with their rosters over the year.
Yeah.
But I think football has certainly had the biggest acceleration
I'm sure
in that regard.
Because baseball, NBA trade deadlines have always been active.
Yes.
Hockey.
Yeah, hockey, big time.
Right. Big time.
You remember back in the Mario days, they'd be wheeling and dealing all the time.
Go
Ron
get Francis
and Recchi and Tockett.
Samuelson. Yeah.
Matt, there are some.
I was at Ken Reggett's bar over the weekend. By the way,
you?
Yeah, it's called 31.
I've heard this before. Madden's told me about
It's like
this before.
2 minutes from here, actually.
And
then come
How
to think
have I
of it,
never
right?
been there?
First time I've ever been there either.
One of these days after a show,
We'll
you
go
and
get a cold
you
one,
and I
right.
will have to. They got Guinness there.
I'm sure of it. I was drinking High Lifes, but yeah.
That's been your go-to in 2025, hasn't it? As a video producer, TV gives a thumbs up. For whatever reason,
You could almost walk there. I mean, it's super close. We wouldn't walk there. We're not walking there.
Yeah,
Forget about that. But it's a very
maybe
short
if there's
ride.
a bunch of snow, we can sled ride. We can sled ride down the hill. Gentlemen, let's get into some of the big names that could be, maybe should be available at the NFL trade deadline.
So I think there's
in
like
the next 2 weeks.
7 or 8 sellers for sure.
Yes.
There could be some teams like the Bengals that one more loss,
Wait
we're
and
going to
see
sell
how this
them.
week
But we get
goes.
one more win, we'll keep them. You know, I mean, it gets to that point because you don't have much time to make this decision.
And that's why Trey Hendrickson.
These guys will have 2 more games.
2 more games.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a lot. Hey, at that
a lot.
point,
Yeah, it's a lot.
You're 8-9 games into the season.
2/17ths of the season.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Matt, Trey Hendrickson, I think, is the most interesting name in that regard because
I really think if the Steelers win that game, he gets traded the next day.
Absolutely. And again, it's the delicate act of trying to stay in it and keep that team focused and everything.
Yeah.
And bought in.
Burrow still
and
could be looming.
It's as our buddy Mike Pursuit is trying to distract us through the window here right now. And you know,
Pursuit doesn't realize we're on YouTube.
Yeah, come in here, Mike. This is a real interesting one for me for Cincinnati because he's probably not going to be on your roster past this year.
I think there's just like a 0% chance. If they franchise him, that place will explode.
But if you have any chance of hanging around 500, playing for a wild card when Joe Burrow gets back, you would definitely want that guy as part of the equation.
And Flacco looks like you're a lot better with him than you were with the old guy.
Is this a pure wait? You got to wait till Monday before the trade deadline to see what they do in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I think you got to play 2 games.
If you win both, he definitely stays. If you lose both, he's definitely gone. If you split them, wait and see.
You still probably sell him.
You've also brought this into the equation, though. They are a notoriously difficult organization to make trades with.
I mean, I've never talked trades with them, but anyone on the planet will tell you
that's why they're the most. If you look at NFL teams' draft position and trades that they make they're the most static. Of if they're picking 18, they stay at 18. If they're picking 12, they stay at 12. If they're picking 24, they stay at 24.
Which would make me crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be more flexible than that.
You gotta be way more flexible. Best team fits, according to ESPN.com, would be the Niners, the Eagles, and the Colts.
Niners losing Bosa, and they just keep winning games. Makes a ton of
Eagles,
ideas.
I think you take off the list now that they brought Brandon Graham back.
Probably.
Man, him on the Colts, I would not like to see that. That's
either.
Dangerous defense.
I would put the Lions. That's an aggressive organization. Put him opposite Hutchinson. I mean, oh, baby.
That would be scary.
Yeah.
Number 2 on this list is Jalen Waddle.
All right, real quick. There's a couple of these terrible teams. I can understand trading anybody. But I could also understand he's part of the solution, not the problem. You know, like Olave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yes.
Olave or Waddle. Like
Breece Hall, like we've talked about.
At least Hall, though, he's up after this year. Like Olave has this year and next. Waddle's under contract. He has
2
at least
more
that,
years,
maybe
I
even
think.
more. They recently gave him money. And it's not like he's Hendrickson's, age or just, not happy with the organization.
He's in the prime of his career.
Yeah. I mean, could you get those guys from bad teams? Yeah, probably. But I don't know if they have to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to have somebody next year.
You absolutely do. Especially if you're the Dolphins and you're trying to more than likely hire a head coach.
At
some point, you want to have hey, look what we got for you to work with and build around.
If Tyreek was still healthy, that's the name. It doesn't mean everybody has to go. Right.
No, you don't have to go full Madden in that regard and just fire sale everybody. Number 3 on this list is Breece Hall. Contract.
That one I could see.
Contract year. A lot of good teams would love some running back help.
Oh, yeah. Throw him on the Chiefs or,
Chiefs, Chargers, and Texans listed
good
as
ones.
I
like all those.
The 3 potential landing spots.
Houston should definitely be on the phone with them. And the Jets should very much be interested in moving on from that.
I would hate it if all 3 of those teams got him because the Chiefs, good Lord. Texans, Steelers could be competing in the playoffs or for a playoff spot with them. Chargers, you're going to see them in 3 weeks. You could be competing in the playoffs or for a playoff spot with them.
Yeah.
Those would be great fits, but
if you're the Jets,
see that.
maybe you don't plan on re-signing him because you have so many other needs. You don't invest in running backs when you're the worst team in the league.
No, not good business.
No.
Reek Woolen, number 4.
See, they're a good team, though.
They're a good team, but he
has not played well with them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he's
with
much
the new
more
system,
of a
new defensive
That's
coordinator.
the thing is he's a Pete Carroll cover 3, long Sherman-esque type guy. He's not a McDonald guy. Yeah, I mean, it's so much, and he hasn't played great.
ESPN says of all these names, he's the most likely to get traded. Lions, Eagles, Falcons, Bucks as potential landing spots.
People would want him.
Philly needs another.
They need
another corner because they're set in the slot with Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell
is a star.
A star on the outside, but
they have a
other boundary
defense,
corner has been. I mean, it's a massive weakness. That could be, and we know Howie Roseman's aggressive there in Philadelphia. I could definitely see that being a deal that gets done. Jacoby Myers comes up on this list, Matt.
Of the wideouts, I think he's the one most likely to move.
And you and I mean, we talked about him back at training camp.
Yeah.
And team fits: Steelers, Giants, Patriots.
Okay. The other aspect I don't know if we talked about back then is I think they used a 3rd-round pick on Jack Besh, who's also a big power slot that, although things have gone so miserably for the Raiders,
he's one of the few bright.
He looks promising, right? Yeah. So you have to do the youth movement. You're not going to give Myers a contract. I don't know if the new team would have to extend him immediately, or if you could talk half the season. And I think his price keeps going down. When he originally said he wanted traded, I think it's 2 rounds later.
The price was higher in August than it is now.
Yeah,
I
mean,
agree
now the Raiders know that. I mean, everyone on the planet knows.
Everyone on the planet knows they're selling, and they have somebody in his role that they kind of like.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews on this list.
I don't see that.
He is in the last year of his deal. Right. Isaiah likely also hits free agency, so they're going to have to pay. You probably
there was some offseason talk that Andrews could go.
You probably don't want to pay 2 tight ends in the same offseason.
Probably true.
That's the whole kind of.
I just can't imagine the Ravens being a seller.
Even if they lose again.
Well, maybe that would be enough. That would be enough because maybe the math just tells you got to.
Team fits: Jags, Bucks, Bills. According to ESPN.
Can you imagine the Ravens trading them to the Bills, though?
I can't.
I can't.
And of all the, I know Knox and Kincaid are world beaters, but I don't look at Buffalo and go, you need a tight end to put you over the top. If I was Buffalo, I'd rather go get a wide receiver.
You don't see many tight end trades, period. Yeah.
Speaking of receivers, Chris Olave also on this list. Steelers, Niners, Giants.
Him and Waddle are the best receivers possible. I just don't know that said team's going to be psyched to give hthem away.
And you and I have talked about this too. Guys like Olave, guys like Waddle, rightfully so, I'm not knocking them for this, they view themselves as number 1 wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want those type of contracts. They're going to want that.
Oh, they're going to get that kind of contract.
And they're going to want that type of target share.
Yeah. Waddle already got that contract.
While in theory, yeah, sure, you'd love to add someone like Garrett Wilson, you know?
Right.
But in terms of, again, what's best for business, allocating your resources, how they fit in their offense, Jacoby Myers feels like the perfect fit because he's going to expect to be a number 2 wide receiver. He's going to expect number 2 wide receiver money, wide receiver 2 targets.
He wouldn't phase out Austin either because he's like 210 pounds. He's a big power guy.
He's going to slot behind DK Metcalf, not thinking I'm pushing that guy to be wide receiver number 1.
I'm a compliment. I'm a spoke in the wheel. Right.
I think Chris Olave is great, but I just, again, those Waddle, those Olave,
$30+ million when
they're
going to
make DK Metcalf money, and they're going to want to want DK Metcalf targets. Rightfully so. I'm not knocking those guys for that.
And the nice thing about them, if you would trade for Waddle or Olave, you inherit a contract, but that also is going to cost you a 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round. I mean, it's not going to be as cheap either. Myers is a 5th.
Yes, and the Steelers do still have a lot of draft capital. And they still are going to get some nice comp picks.
Yeah.
But that Russell Wilson comp pick isn't going to be as high as we all thought it was going to be.
No, it won't.
And I would have to look more into Justin Fields based off his playing time and everything. He might have already hit his numbers, but what if they bench Fields the rest of the season?
I don't know, yeah.
Matt, 2 good players on the Miami Dolphins defense listed here as well, too, and Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb.
I could see both being very attainable.
They're guys that, If I'm the Niners, if I'm the Lions.
They also have Chop Robinson, last year's first-round pick. They have a little bit of a surplus there.
If I'm the Niners, if I'm the Lions, heck, maybe if I'm even the Chiefs, these are the type of moves I'm interested in making.
100%.
Not going to break your bank, but clearly going to make you a better team, going to improve your defense.
I really like Phillips, but he has an extensive injury history. Like bad stuff. Like, I mean, when he was at UCLA, they retired him for a year, and then he came back. And like I don't know the exact details, but I think it was like a neck. I mean, something bad.
A couple more here for us to close down this conversation. Jermaine Johnson of the Jets also listed on here. There's a lot
of teams in the market for edge rushers.
You'd want to pick up his fifth-year option for next year, obviously, but it's just a little over $13 million. That's not a bad number for a productive edge rusher.
Yeah, I'd have to study how well he's playing this year.
Eagles and Bears listed as fits.
Yeah, okay. But he was really, really coming on strong before he got injured a year ago.
Logan Wilson, another Cincinnati Bengal popping up on this list.
Major youth movement at linebacker. Like, he's been kind of phased out.
Next year, just a $6 million salary and cap hit. Very manageable.
If they become sellers, I would think he goes too.
I think so too. He's not a light the world on fire superstar, but he's a 3-down linebacker that's affordable.
And there's more of a shortage for those guys than you think right now.
Totally.
A reliable veteran.
You talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like other than offensive linemen, that might be the biggest shortage in the league.
It's pretty bad right now.
Is reliable off-ball linebackers.
Let alone stars. There aren't many stars.
Last ones that I want to run past you here, Matt. Trio of Tennessee Titans, another team that is clearly looking to the future. Edge rusher Arden Key, corner Roger McCreary, and Okonkwo, the tight end.
Ridley was another name I'd throw in there too, and I think he's like an honorable mention.
I think he might be lower down on this list. Yeah.
Yes. I don't. If I were them, I'd love to keep Simmons. You of course are going to keep Ward. Other than that, I mean, I don't think Zeitler could even go. I mean, he's a 35-year-old guard. Pollard. I mean, they're a terrible football team with a new coach coming in. I think fire sale for them.
Hold on to Simmons?
I would. But
because again, he's one of those guys that he's part of the solution.
No doubt, he's great.
Like the definition of that.
It's like we got two really good defensive tackles.
Still in his 20s, right. He's really good.
We don't need the money. But if I were Howie Roseman, I mean, in particular, the biggest spender, most aggressive GM out there, I'm at least calling.
Make him say no.
Right.
See what the price would be.
Right.
Okay, I lied. Two more that I want to run past you real quick. Two guys that at one point were the bell of the ball. Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins.
I don't see it now.
Cincinnati would have been the team, right?
I think.
Kirk Cousins, I feel like we haven't talked about him. He's disappeared from the lexicon here.
What about Minnesota? Especially for Cousins.
I mean,
they've had poor quarterback play.
If you're Atlanta, wouldn't you just kind of want to get rid of him at this point? Like,
the thing is, he's so nice. He doesn't cause any problems.
It's true.
And
I'm sure you love having him in that room with Penix every week that they could sit there and go over the film and the tape together.
That's what a lot of people have said. It's like usually a big-name quarterback, you get out of the building, you move it over to the other guy. But Kirk's just nice. and he's like, he gets it. He's fine with it, you know?
You'd have to pay him a $20 million contract bonus in March for whoever acquired, a $10 million contract bonus in March. That's not back-breaking type money.
I mean, a couple days ago, we went through the whole league of who needs a quarterback, but it's a lot different of who needs a first-round quarterback as opposed to a 36-year-old quarterback, you know, because they're all the bad teams. I don't want 36. Miami doesn't want them. I mean, Tennessee, you know.
Exactly right. Like for Kirk Cousins, they have Vikings as a trade partner. For Russell Wilson, it's the Raiders and the Saints.
What are they going to do with him?
What are the Raiders going to do with him? And the Saints, even if he goes in there and he's better than Rattler, they're 1-5 already. Like,
the only way that those guys make sense other than Minnesota is if an injury happens this week.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
or even next week and a team gets desperate.
Let's say Mahomes, heaven forbid, you know, what if he's going to miss 6 weeks?
Josh Allen.
I mean, it's the Burrow situation.
Yes.
Okay, we're a contender. We lost our dude for the short term, but he's coming back. Save the day for a while.
TJ Watt blows up Jordan Love, and he's going to be out with a rib injury.
Yeah, that'd be a good
for
team
2
for
or
that
3
too.
weeks.
Right.
You know, if something like that, you're absolutely right. If something like that happens in the next week
then
or
maybe
two,
that's your next call.
Then it I think becomes a viable conversation. But right now, it just doesn't feel like there's the market there.
And even if I recall the Giants, I don't know if I'd rather have Winston or Wilson. I don't know who they'd rather have as their backup. I guess who's ever the better influence on Dart?
Yeah, which
probably Winston.
I mean,
it probably is.
I
just a hunch, but
I think he's built for that mold of he knows what he is at this stage in the career. Where Russ still seems like the guy who still wants to be a number one.
Right.
Matt, one more segment to go. When we return on the other side, we'll get to some tweets to close this thing down. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Down the home stretch here on a Thursday, Matt, and what do you say we get to some tweets? Although, you know what? Before we do, real quick, thoughts on tonight's game. Another intriguing Thursday night game. Speaking of those Minnesota Vikings and their quarterback situation, they are in L.A. at SoFi to take on the Chargers. Another crossroads type game for these teams. If you're
That's what I was thinking too.
If you're Minnesota, you get to 4-3. You're keeping your head above water. If you're the Chargers, you get to 5-3, and you're like, okay, we survived some terrible injuries. We're still right where we want to be. Chargers 3.5-point favorites at home tonight.
Yeah, I really don't have a feeling on terms of like who I'd pick or against the spread. I mean, so then I would just take points. But that was my takeaway was, even though it doesn't matter because it's NFC, AFC, kind of like Steelers, Packers, where you don't crush the other one with a loss or destroy your mathematical chances, it does seem like a crossroad for both. And one of them's got a stud quarterback. One of them's really searching a quarterback. And it just feels like you lose a game like this, are you starting to really drift out of it? I mean, I'm not sure a win puts you back in it, but I feel like a loss.
Yeah, good point.
It's like, oh no, we're starting to really drift out of this thing in our respective conference.
I think particularly for Minnesota, who would fall to 3-4 and then really be chasing the Lions and the Packers.
If you're 3-4, it'd be pretty easy to come up with 7 NFC teams that are more deserving than you.
Absolutely.
I mean, Dallas is coming on, and Chicago, and some of these teams that aren't the obvious ones.
I'm very interested to see how the Vikings defense looks tonight.
Yeah.
After we much maligned the Steelers defense, but also kind of gave them the grain of salt of this happens a lot to Thursday road teams.
Yeah, it does.
Particularly veteran defenses. Vikings have a veteran defense.
That's a good point.
It's a further trip for them than even Cincinnati. I'll be interested to see what that looks like if Flores changes anything up, how they hold up, over the course of 3 hours against Justin Herbert.
It should be a good game, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Felt like the last couple years, the Thursday night games, you'd get like 1 or 2 good ones at the beginning of the year, and then it'd be a lot of bleh.
There was a lot of like bad AFC South
It was
teams.
like Jeff Bezos picked up the phone and was like, you know how much I'm paying for this? Like, give me something a little.
When the Jags were 2-8, they'd be playing the Titans or something. Like, come on, man.
All right, Matt. A few tweets here to close us down today. Me tweets and says, do you think the Steelers should concentrate on bolstering the offense as much as we can ahead of the trade deadline, so we can compete in track meets against teams like Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Buffalo, and Detroit? Where would you wide receiver? That's the obvious one.
It's been talked to death, but I mean, I would be very open to trading for Jacoby Myers.
Totally.
And hey, I'm still kicking the tires on Olave and Waddle. The 2 names I like best are Myers and Shaheed with the Saints, too, because Shaheed's up after the season. I don't even know if he was on that trade list or not, but I think he could go. He's a really dynamic player, too. I mean, he's a little redundant to Austin, but I don't care. He's just good.
Yeah.
As the rest of the offense, though, I mean, you're not going to get O-line depth. Where else are you looking? Yeah, I just don't really see it.
I don't either. You're not in the running back market. Right. O-line, forget about it. I mean, you know what I mean? Right.
You're going to get scraps.
And, yeah, you don't need tight end. You don't need quarterback.
Right.
Another wide receiver feels like it
seems like the only move.
If you're going to push some chips to the center of the table, that's the move to make.
And I've gotten a lot of people ask me, and it's like, well, I know they have a lot invested financially on defense, but the defense doesn't look good. What could you do to get better? And, I don't know.
Trade for a veteran safety.
Right, I say. I mean, you could bring Minka back. I mean, I know people are like, oh, do that. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty big investment, though, too.
It's a big chunk of change to add to a defense that everybody always likes to talk about how much change they're making already.
And you get older and more expensive on defense with a trade like that. Right.
Svan tweets, S-V-A-N, Svan.
Yeah.
Tweets and says, when you did your wide receiver rankings yesterday, you emphasized about 100 times about how they are right now today. Can you please explain to me then how JSN isn't number one? He leads every category by a mile. That doesn't make sense to me at all. It's a fair question.
That's a fair question.
And here's the thing, though. This is the balance of doing those today, right now, power rankings type things.
Mm-hmm.
Scottie Pippen, you've been using the Jordan analogy a lot. Scottie Pippen might have had a better month than Jordan at one point.
I'm sure he did.
That doesn't mean I'm still not. I'm putting him ahead of Jordan.
Right.
JSN has been incredible. He leads all of these categories by a significant chunk. But you know who's like right behind him in all of them is Jamar Chase.
Especially after last week.
And you know who had an incredible week, tied a record of Jerry Rice's last week.
Yeah.
Was Jamar Chase. So it is a fair question. It's something believe me, Svan, I thought about just putting JSN number one. I really did. And maybe I should have had him 2 or 3 behind Chase. But
I mean, Nakua's numbers were bonkers, too. He's happened to get injured for a game.
McDonald's can put up more revenue than 5 guys. I still know who has a better cheeseburger.
Right. So I've actually given your rankings some thought. And this is going to sound negative, it's not.
Question.
Since we got together yesterday,
criticism.
And you built your list more based on 2025 production than I would have not seeing your list. Like if it was best of the mat, my 10 would have maybe been close to the same.
Best of the West.
They maybe would have been the same 10, but I probably wouldn't have had Pickens or Devontae, and I would have deferred to tape and history a little bit more. And I'll still contend, as great as JSN is, I would rather cover JSN for 60 snaps than Chase. I mean, I think Chase is better at football. And JSN's incredible, and he's skyrocketing up the board.
I think it's a fair question by Svan, but I think there's also fair nuance in there from our perspective.
I mean, I think if you asked any defensive coordinator in the league, would you rather play against Smith-Njigba or Jamar Chase, they would all say Smith-Njigba. And they'd say, boy, he's getting better, and he's awesome.
I'd say I don't want to play against that guy, but...
Right. If I have to pick...
Paul tweets and says, is Pickens better than DK Metcalf? Do you think Aaron Rodgers could have kept Pickens in check?
I have no idea about the second part of the question.
Piggybacking off of that. Yeah,
Who knows?
Who knows? Listen.
He might have despised him. He might have loved him. He might have embraced him. He might have done the CeeDee Lamb thing we talked about yesterday. And
what George Pickens has done through the first 7 weeks of the season is crazy impressive.
Yeah.
But that also doesn't, again, it's not just as simple as he's putting up more production, his numbers are better. Yes, he's better. We should have kept that guy. You would have rather had that guy. It also doesn't mean, too, that between now and Thanksgiving or between now and Christmas, George Pickens couldn't do some George Pickens stuff and you lose him for a couple weeks and the head case stuff, the checking in and out of game stuff.
Yep.
I think I did a good job of giving Pickens his flowers yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I think you were very kind to him.
But that doesn't mean that is now in perpetuity going forward.
Or that he'd be on the list if he was a Steeler.
There's a lot more volatility around him than there is the consistency and the know what you're getting. George Pickens is right now, he is a ribeye at Hyde Park Steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
But he could also, in the couple weeks from now, be Arby's, roast beef.
Mm-hmm.
I know what DK Metcalf is week in and week out going forward, and I'm very confident in that.
Yes, and I would rather be tied to Metcalf than Pickens.
Yes, that's the best way to put it.
On game day and in the locker room and financially as we stand, as opposed to extending them. You would have had to extend them, and that's a different animal. Now, many of the analytics people, a lot of the fantasy folks, when that trade happened and they were 100% right and we're seeing it, Dak and Pickens are peanut butter and jelly. I mean, they are perfect for each other.
They are.
And Dallas recognized that. I mean, it's why they targeted them.
Yes, they did. And
not that Rodgers would be bad with them.
Sure.
But Dak is perfect for him.
Let's also remember, too, that CeeDee Lamb he was back last week, but he's missed a few weeks in a row. And so it was like, it was Pickens feeding time. I mean, he
feasted.
He was the guy for the offense, and the table was set, and he filled his plate for sure. But
see, this won't change my opinion on Pickens, but I'm really interested this week, and we'll bring it up probably tomorrow when we break down games. They get the Broncos. I wonder if I think Surtain goes on Pickens.
Ooh.
And because Lamb operates out of the slot a lot, they'll try to help him, And I'm not saying Pickens won't catch another pass. I mean, I don't think that at all.
Sure.
But he might get a different kind of treatment this upcoming week.
Last one for you, Matt, from Andrew. And this, we'll get out of here on a positive note, okay? Everyone knows Mike Tomlin's record on the road, the losses on Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
But if you take a look at the outcome of the following game, it's very encouraging. So
I bet, because long week he's good, short week he's not.
In the last 10 Thursday night games that Mike Tomlin has lost as the Steelers head coach, this dates back to 2009.
Just the losses.
Just the losses.
Okay.
So 10, but let's take Cincinnati out of the equation because we don't know the following game.
So there's 9 results.
So in the last 9 Thursday night losses before that, the Steelers are 7-2 in the following game.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
Doesn't surprise me one bit. So that's an encouraging kind of, hey, the Thursday night losses are bad. The good news of that is more often than not, they make up for it. They get it right. They rebound the following week. I thought that was a good stat pool by Andrew.
Yeah, that's great. And it doesn't shock me one bit.
Doesn't shock me one bit either.
The Cam Haywards and Pouncey's marinate on a loss for a couple extra days. I bet it resonates through the building.
I bet you with a guy like Jalen Ramsey now, that's doing
Mr.
some of the
Rogers.
same. Mr. Rogers, DK Metcalf, certainly. You don't think DK's chomping at the bit to get out there and make up for that interception and all those things? Or hopefully, I should say, that trend continues Sunday night at Acrisure Stadium in prime time.
Cornerback room in particular is going to be
a lot of
not
pride,
thrilled with the
lot of
tape.
pride, a lot of pedigree, a lot of Super Bowl rings, a lot of All-Pros, maybe a future gold jacket in that room. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how they respond on Sunday night against the Packers. Tomorrow, Matt, we will deep dive into that Sunday night football contest. We'll catch up with Missy Matthews. We'll have 5-Star Friday. We'll have all of our NFL Pick'em, all the traditional fixins for the Friday show. But that will do it for us today. Big thanks to the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola, for joining us in the first hour. Big shout out to our video producer, TV, Mr. Tyler V, for making sure we look nice and handsome on the YouTube. And a big shout out to Nathan hanging out with us and doing some training here today in the studio, learning the reps, earning the reps here as we get into the meat and potatoes of the football season. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.